Right, how do you do? For those of you that haven't met me, that's you two. These have had the unfortunate experience of already knowing me and having worked with me. Yeah, definitely. In the background, you're going to meet him in a minute, is Dodo, who is otherwise called the Ginger Whinger. He suffers from fear of missing out, so it's not separation anxiety, it's because he can hear that there's dogs and people and things going on, and he knows that that means there will be food in here, and he loves to work for food. My name's Julie Brewer. I'm pretty qualified to teach you, and we try and stick to a plan. I've got a plan for the day, but it also is going to be flexible if we see that there's problems that anybody's dealing with. So what I like to do on the first session, so that you all kind of know each other, is do what I've just done. Introduce your puppy, introduce yourselves. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a group feeling about being here together. Yeah? Because you're all going through the same pains. You're all experiencing the same things. Yeah, sharp teeth and idiot behaviour. So you've got a group of people you can sympathise with. You will get an invitation to the WhatsApp group where you're welcome to share anything and ask any questions. It can become a bit of a flood zone, so it can be quite busy. So if you've got WhatsApp and you do want to be part of the group, and I think it is important, because if I pull a sickie or if somebody needs to let me know they're not coming, it's a good place to do it. But if you don't want to be hearing it go ping every time, turn your notifications off so that you're not having to listen to it constantly pinging at you. I've got one lady who's done several groups with me, and she's very, very chatty, and she loves sharing everything about her dogs, which I think's great, but at the same time I also recognise that it could be a little bit annoying or irritating for you lot, and it does mean that if I've got something I need to say that's important, I have to reshare it, so it goes back to the beginning again. But I don't want to put you off doing the same. Now, there are other places to put stuff. You can put it on our training group on Facebook, or I've got a group on one of the other social medias, and it's gone out of my head. I'm getting too old for this malarkey, I'll tell you. I'm just going to put a note on here. I've got this, I suffer from anxiety, and if I suddenly seem to go off on one, it's because my brain's going, ah! And if I suddenly go quiet and still and look like I'm very, very organised and controlled, it's because I'm having a panic attack and I just need to. But the way I cope with panic attacks is by using my dogs. So I'm going to bring them in. Now, they are going to be ridiculous. They're going to be embarrassing. You're going to think to yourself, oh my God, I've spent money on this dog trainer and her dogs are all loonies. But bear with me, all right? Don't panic. Now, your dogs are going to get excited because they're going to come in excited. So first thing I want you to do is get your treats out. And I don't want you to tell your dogs off if they get excited. But what I do want you to do is any single moment that they pay attention to you instead of paying attention to my dogs, I want you to reward your dog. Yeah? Any tiny little bit of a flicker of interest in you instead of my lot. Pay your dog. Don't nag them for it. Don't beg them for it. Don't demand it. Don't tell them off if they're being crazy. But if they look at you, you go, oh my God, here, have this. Yeah? All right, they come in. Are you all ready? Go on then, you can go in there. Don't knock the camera over. Good girl. Are you ready? She's not ready. Go. This is Dodo. And he doesn't like teenage dogs. Get down. Down. Good lad. It's all right, don't nag. If your dog pays attention to you or asks for attention from you, pay it. Don't beg for it. Okay? Down. Because your dog's trying to deal with a situation. You don't make it easier to deal with that situation by sounding like you're panicking too. All right? Good. Dodo down. Dodo down. So that's 2 of them. Stay there. Excuse me. Get on your bed. I'm sacking him. I'm telling you. I'm going to sack this boy. Does anybody want a ginger dog? I've got a spare. Lay down. Don't get your dog second-hand from Spain. That's all I'm saying. Okay. So I promise I'm not going to be letting them introduce themselves that way every single time. All right? What I'm trying to show you is that just because you appear to have a naughty dog, in inverted commas, what you haven't got is naughty dogs. You've got dogs. And I apologize if you feel that you had a specific idea of what your dog was going to be like and you've ended up with something else. All right? You can help them. Some of the things about them are going to be the same. So he's never going to be, lay down, as sensible as Desi is able to be. That's not in his personality type. He's never going to be as calm as she is. It's not in his personality type. He's a perfect example of a naughty dog, but it's not. This is just how he is. And we learn to live with him as he is and help him to learn to live with us the way that he is. Can you lay down? Have you had anything to do with Jane Arden? No. Okay, I'm going to direct you to have a look at Jane Arden's group on Facebook and her website. She trains working cockers using only positive reward-based methods. None of the old-fashioned, you must this, you must that, you must the other. And you wouldn't want to, thing is, if somebody got a dodo and they still had the traditional idea of training, they would have to break him mentally to make him be good all of the time. So the person that liked you in the house, that you had a friendship with, has left. And the person that's not so keen on you in the house is now having to put up with you even more because you've not got the distraction. When these 2 boys first met, Dodo hated him on sight. You can take that back. Don't want anything to do with him. Luckily, Twiggy adopted him and said, I'll look after the puppy. Yeah? And she wanted to interact with him, but he didn't want him at all. Every time Desi even had a look at him, he'd be like, just don't even look at me. Don't talk to me. You can't lay next to me. Now it took a long process, but now they'll cuddle up together on the sofa. Des still has to ask if he can. He can't bounce on Dodo's head. You know, he has to ask, is it all right if I join you on the sofa? And you can see him looking at him going, only if you do it carefully. Yeah, and then he'll fold himself ever so carefully right up next to him, and then they cuddle up. And he puts his head on top of his and proper snuggles. So biting by this age should start to be, so biting on your skin specifically, should start to be reducing. It should be reducing in frequency and it should be reducing in intensity. So if you're still getting very frequent bites that actually hurt, then you need proper help with it now, yeah? By 6 months, you should have figured out how to have your hands around your dog's face and play with them without there being a risk of injury. It is hard with children. You've got to train them both together, and they should never, ever be in each other's company without your assistance, because they're going to teach each other the wrong things. My very best friend when I was 4 was my dog, and I can't say that's ever not been the case for my whole life. But my parents' conclusion in the end, because I wouldn't be extracted from this dog, was if that dog bites you, you are going to get into trouble. You know, there's no two questions about it. If you make that puppy bite you, you're the one that's in trouble, not the puppy. All right? And I remember that distinctly from being 4 years old. Let's have a look at CPR, which is normally cardiopulmonary resuscitation in medicine, isn't it? But in dogs, it's a nice little acronym to suggest. Do you want a ginger dog? I've got a spare. Nice little acronym, which I've written up on the board to remind me of all the letters that it could constitute. So when we're training is about teaching dogs specific rules about how to be with us. Will you get off? Thank you. Yeah? Teaching them things. It's not about living with them in general. Why am I not going to tell him off or get angry with him for jumping up? Why is he jumping up? Where's the food right now? Where's the food right now? Where's my face? Yeah? And all the good smells from me. Yeah? I have to say, when I first got him, when he was a puppy, he was extremely anxious, and he had about 600 front legs. All he did was do that constantly, and it hurt. So, you know, if he jumps up every 5 minutes, which he doesn't except when he's here, if he does do that, that's a whole lot better than it was when I first got him. So you've got to look back and think. Anyway, what I've written on here for this morning, for the C part, is clarity. In other words, you knowing what it is that you want your dog to learn. Because if you don't know, how on earth are they meant to understand? Consistency. In other words, if you're going to have a rule, stick to that rule. If you want your dogs on your sofa, good on you. If you want them on your bed, good on you. If you don't want them on your bed, don't invite them on there sometimes and then not other times. Unless you've got a very specific way of them understanding, now it's available, now it isn't. So when you put a blanket on, it's available. When you don't put that blanket on, it isn't available. Okay, so consistency and communication. That's about how you teach it, how you move, what words you use, what means that next thing is going to happen. So something as simple as, when I put your lead and collar on, we're going to go for a walk. Yeah? So it's communication. The next one, the P bit, predictability, promise. Yeah? So being able for your dog to know that if he sits and looks at me, there's a very good chance that predictably food is going to arrive. Okay? So the promise part is the dog understanding that if they do that behavior, there is a promise that you're going to be paid. So it's the promise the same as the promise on your £1 note or the promise on your £5 note nowadays, because we don't have a pound note anymore. I promise to pay the bearer. Yeah? Promise. If you sit, yeah, doing that will get you paid, and doing that will get you paid, and doing that will get you paid. So there's a promise. Okay, and the R is about repetition, because one thing that humans tend to do is they think that if the dog's done something twice, the dog knows it and understands it, and then they've got the right to get stroppy because the dog isn't doing it anymore. That's not the case. Think about how often you repeat the word nose to your tiny children and point to your nose before they finally start to point to your nose or to their own nose and are able to repeat that word. It's about 400 repetitions for any one new piece of information to finally hit the brain and to finally start to settle in to be recognized. Okay, and repeatable. About 400. So if you ask your puppy to sit and they guess right once and they guess right again and they guess right a third time, it doesn't mean to say that they understand what you mean when you say sit. Does that make sense? Routine, that's about the house and the home. knowing what's going to happen next goes back into predictability. But the more you have routines set, the more the dog can understand what's going to happen next. That keeps them from feeling anxious. It keeps their world predictable, and it keeps them more likely to do what you like, less likely to do the things you don't like. And the biggest one, reward. Reward, reward, reward. There's so many people still out there that think that the use of food is a bad thing. I would say, how many of you, put your hand up if you would honestly do your job for no money? If you would work for no money. She's a vicar, so she's kind of, I might. And I might as well, if I was able to live physically and eat. You know, I love doing this. I love being a veterinary nurse. There's a chance that I would do it for free if I could also live. Yeah, if I could also. But expecting a dog to do it for nothing is a really bad way to go. Doesn't have to be food. That's really important. Doesn't have to be food. It could be, for some dogs, it could be affection. He'll work for affection, believe it or not, as much as he is really, really greedy. It could be, oh, Desmond, where's the ball? Oh, there it is. Get the bully. Ball. Good lad. Come on. It could be the opportunity to interact with you in a playful way. Yeah? He will work his socks off for a toy. What do you like? She quite likes affection, but she doesn't like affection around her head. That bit she don't like. She'll turn around if she wants me to scrunge her bum. She'll say, no, affection here at this end. Yeah? She wants food. All right? So figuring out what your dog will work for, and then you've got those things that you can't actually hold on to. You can't hold on to the sniff of the dog that's peed over there. You can't hold on to access to that other person or that other dog. But you can prevent access and give access in return for behaviors that you prefer. Yeah? Does that make sense? All right, so we'll do some training. How do we explain to a dog exactly what we want them to do? We're going to give you a task, and then we're going to show you how to do it. So your job is going to be to get your dog's front paws onto a box. Okay, you lay down. I want Dodo. Just hang on. Just hang on. Just hang on. To get your dog's front paws on a box. Yeah? Now, obviously, we've practiced that. So how do you get there? All right, any guesses how you get to that place? Go on, lay down. Don't start playing. Lay down. Lay down. Go on, shout out. Verbal and physical cues. Okay, fab. So verbal cues. How many natural verbal cues do you think your dog uses? Not many. Not many. That's a good answer. I like it. If you keep hold of that, but don't put it down yet. Yeah, between 3 and 6. Okay. So verbal, we want them to learn. But we're basically, when we're teaching our dog verbal cues, we're teaching them English as a second language. Come away. English as a second language. Lay down. They do not have the ability to understand what you're saying. And there's a very good chance for most humans that they're saying too much and they're mixing the dog up. Lay down. I will kick you out. You'll end up in the van again. All right. So, first thing we need to be able to do, Just pop them boxes somewhere so they're just out of reach. You're not using them yet. Just throw them to one side. First thing we need to be able to do is to help them to move in specific ways. So we're going to see whether or not your dog is happy to follow a piece of food in your hand very, very slowly, under lots of control, without snatching at your hand. I'll show you how to get it in a minute. I want them to be able to move very, very slowly, trying to get that food out of your hand, but without biting you or getting upset or angry with you. Okay, so the food lives sort of halfway down your fingers. You put your thumb over the top. I want the dog to be able to taste it. I want them to be able to lick it. And then what I'm going to do, if I'm happy with the way they're trying to take it, I'm just going to slide my thumb sideways. Dodo, go and lay down. I want to work with you. Come here. All right? So, first one is make sure that the way that they're trying to take it is where you like, and that they are confident to keep their nose on that food and move with you. Okay, we don't need to tell them no. We just don't let go of the food. If they hurt you, just take the food and your hand away. Twiggy, Twiggy. Okay? If it's uncomfortable for you, just take the food. Now, if they're not happy to follow it, if they're not confident to follow it, you're just going to work on that little following and delivery between you. Okay? That's all you're going to work on. If they are happy to follow it, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to put your object down. Go and lay down, otherwise you will be in the van. Down. Down. Twiggy. He hates anyone else working. Put your object down and let your puppy have a look at it. Yes, I'm going to tell my puppy it's all right to interact and look at that object. Yes, I'm going to reward them for just looking at it. You've done this before. Okay? If they happen to accidentally put their feet on it, pay them lots in a row, all in a go, one at a time. Lots of payment in a row. If they look at it and they're not uncomfortable with it, they're not scared of it, they're not avoiding it, then you're going to use your food lure on their nose to lure them in the direction of. And I don't want you to aim at the final result of paws on, any interaction with the feet on that box. I want you to let go of that food. Reward effort. Don't just keep trying for the final result. Reward any effort involved in getting close to that box. Des, come here. Put your paws on. Good. Okay, go lay down. Good. Go lay down. Dodo. Dodo. Put your paws on. Put your paws on. So it doesn't actually matter in the long run whether or not your dog can put their paws on a box. What you are learning is how to help them to do something by communicating with your body language, using a resource that they want to get from you, which is a reward. Yeah? Does that make sense? So we're going to lure them using that food really slowly, moving them until they achieve something similar to what you're looking for, and then rewarding them while their feet are still on there. You might end up just with one foot to begin with. You might end up with more than 1 foot. Now, if your puppy actually puts 2 feet on, then we maintain that behavior by bringing rewards frequently while they're still in that position. Okay? So while they're still there, once you've arrived, you need to deliver between 1 and 3 seconds. 1 and 3. 1 second's better if they're coming quite rapidly. It's all right, you can pay for just feet if you're touching it. If we're a little bit scared of the object, if it's making a noise, sensitive about it, lay down. Down. Stay there. Twiggy down. If it's the noise that's a bit scary, try something that's a little bit quieter. Swap here. But start over again because that might be scary now. Stay there.
Yes. She's never done it before. That's the first time.
All right, clever clogs. Front feet on one, back feet on the other. Because I know you enjoy a challenge. All right, so over in this corner, we've got somebody that's never done it ever. But because her puppy's gone and done it straight away, I've said, how's about we set you a challenge? Front end on one, back end on the other. You're nearly there. You are so close. So lower slowly in the line. If you get her walking right next to you, so she's close to your leg, that's it. And yeah, there you go, 3 feet. And don't worry, some people and some dogs are more confident than others. And all she's saying is, that's a bit freaky, all right? If all you're practicing is it's okay to follow my hand when there's food in it, you're doing lots of movement, that's all right. It doesn't have to be about the object. It's about the communication. Follow the hand that's got the food in it. Keep going. Don't worry about it. Don't get upset. Yeah? So we're building the confidence in the puppy or in the young dog to try, to keep trying. Yeah? And we're communicating. You can keep trying as long as you're trying with your tongue and your front teeth, but if you try with any other teeth, your food will go away and the option will go away. So if you want your puppy to do things like agility or hoopers, so you can have fun together, or even just getting onto the groins at the beach for cute photos, then being able to guide them with your physicality, your body movements. We weren't saying get on, were we? We're just going there. Yeah? And if you look at my Facebook page, it's lathered in cute photos of them doing this with their paws on things. Right then, so once you've got that skill of being able to put something on your dog's nose, now you know that you can start to move them. So I want you to play with your dog. I want you to play turning them around and walking a little bit with them and bringing them in front of you and just whatever you think. Even if you want to get fancy, you could do things like leg weaves. Yeah? Don't care what you're doing. It's about the puppy feeling confident to keep following that hand. It's fun. It's a game. It's an interaction and it's communication. And you're being very clear by giving your rewards when you like a behavior and just withholding the reward if the behavior is not one that you like. So we don't have to get upset with them for not getting it right. We just have to be clear about what gets them that piece of food. So you're not being told, the minute I've not said to you, you must do this, you must do that, I'm letting you have fun as well, aren't I? Okay? I don't care what your dog's doing And what you decide you're going to pay for, this is about you having fun together. But look what happens if you just do that. Look what you end up getting. Yeah? And you, what's this? It's walking on a lead together, isn't it? Yeah? Is the food still on his nose? No, but it's going to come back there. And he knows it is. So it's predictable that it will be coming back to him. All right? So this time, what I want you to do, I want you to get your dog on the nose, first of all. Then bring them all the way behind you as far as you can stretch. Turn your hand over so your hand is now facing palm to the nose, because you're going to move your hand to here, and then you're going to let go. All right? So your dog starts randomly somewhere over there. Pull them all the way back. Flip your hand. Pull them forward, and you're going to pay right next to your body. You've all got decent-ish sized dogs, so it's not too much bending involved. I always feel sorry for the ones that come in here with chihuahuas, because they end up having to do some really complicated movements. So if we look at the CPR for this, what we're actually doing is positioning the dog in the right place to walk with us nicely. That is clarity of movement. My body language is clear. Yeah? Consistent. I'm going to always tell my dog that I want them to come to that position if I want them to walk under control with me. And it's communication, because if they can manage to get to that position, they know that they will get a reward. It's predictable. There is a promise involved that if they can get themselves into that position right next to my leg, that there will be a reward coming. Now, if you're showing off and you're ever so good at doing it on one leg, what I want you to do is swap your treat into the other hand and do it on the other side of you. We want our dogs to be able to walk on both sides of us. Flip your hand, bring her forward, and pay right next to your hip. Next to your hip. If you don't end up with a soggy leg, you're doing it wrong. So bring her head right into your hip before you pay. All the way back, into your hip, and pay right next to your hip. Yeah? Yeah? Well done. Okay, who's ready for another trick? Take 2 pieces of food. 2 pieces of food. I've got one in each hand. Take your first piece of food all the way as far behind you as you can reach. Swap your dog onto the other bit. And when they get back here, reward them. So we're not giving the first one away necessarily, unless you've got a dog who's finding it difficult. Do it the other way. Pick your dog up, pay them right here. That's it. Swap hands, pay right next to your leg. Yeah? And again, this is about them being confident to follow and confident to swap hands. So we're going just on that one circle, and we're going to, as soon as they're there, so we go round the back. As soon as they're at the side of us here, we're going to pay if your dog doesn't steal it from you, which is what he just did. So all the way around and pay right next to this. Now, look what starts to happen. Because it's predictable pattern, they don't get the first one, they get the second one. They follow the first, and they finish. You're just a rubbish demo dog. Come here. They follow the first, but they finish on the second, and they get rewarded on the second. They start to go there on their own. Yeah? They start to say, I go round you. Okay? You go lay down. 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 Desi, come here. Can you go round? And go round. And go round. And go round. And stop. And sit. Yay! Okay, and if you want a party trick for Christmas, go round, go round, go round. Oh, go that way then, yeah. Go round. He's got a bad hip, so he gets stroppy if you send him round the wrong way too often. Yeah? I'm not going to get upset with him for telling me that he says that's uncomfortable. Come on, lay down. Down. Stay there. Okay, now then, take a break. Just have a sit for a second. When you're at home, when you're practicing, you literally only need to do 5 minutes on any one subject 3 to 4 times a day. Any more than that, your dog is going to be needing attention all the time. They're going to be wired all of the time. And actually what they need is a little lesson and then a chance to process, to rest, to sleep, to do something else, to diffuse. Yeah? Learning will go a lot quicker if you do short bursts and then go do something else. So a really good example of when to do it if you're a human is when you put the kettle on. While your kettle's boiling or your soup's warming up in the microwave, do a little bit of training, have a little goal. Doesn't need to be anything really important, but you are going to do a little bit of training. So the next one then, do you really want to have food in your hands all the time to get your dogs to do what you like? I certainly don't. But not just for my sake, but also for the dog's sake, because I meet lots and lots of dogs who are trained, but they're only going to do those behaviours when food is obvious, when it's obviously in the hand. Can you just reassure me that the video is still recording? That's all right then. It's gone off on me in the past, doesn't it? So they'll only do it when the food's obvious. And that then becomes a real big problem, doesn't it? Because if you go into the vets, you can't feed your dog because they're going to have a medical issue. They're poorly or they're going to be brought in for surgery. You can't use food in that situation. So you need something else. And this is a method that all they use for teaching lions, tigers, bears, snakes, spiders, in fact, any other wild species. So if it works for them, it definitely can work for a dog. Okay? You'll have seen this exact method on TV at some point where a lion, yes, I know you know what it is, but I don't want you. Get off. Lay down. Down. Stay there. Where a lion puts their paws up onto a cage to touch a target stick. Touch it? Yes. Okay? But you don't have to get yourself a target stick because you've all got the perfect target with you wherever you go. You've all got it already. Any guesses? You know what it is. Hands, yeah. Yes. Okay? So now he's still going to get food, but that food isn't in my hand. Yes. Does that make sense? So those behaviours that we've just done, where you take them back there and bring them here, yes, I can do with an empty hand. All right, so how do you start teaching target? What you do is you're very aware of your body language. You're going to make sure your hands aren't flapping about. You are going to present a hand not too far away from the dog's nose to begin with, not too far away from their nose. You're going to present, yes, and I'm going to mark when the nose is touching the hand, yes. And then that hand, that same hand is going to go and get the treat, bring it back to where they targeted. Right, you? Pay for something else. So if your puppy's doing something you hate, yeah, start paying over there for laying down. Or paying over there to give attention to the toy. Don't get into the habit of just reacting when they're being silly. Give them something else to do so they don't get silly. Like these lot, are getting rewarded every now and then for laying down there. Yeah? That's why they're still laying there. Isn't it? You're a pain in the bum. That was Twiggy's. Go and lay down. Lay down. Dodo. Good boy, stay there. All right, so we're going to present it. So you go from quiet, still hands to a really clear, positioned hand. Yes. Now, puppies are mostly going to sniff it because that hand has been bringing them food. So after you've said yes, you're going to go and get that treat that you owe them. So don't panic, don't worry. We've got a little sneaky trick if she's yes. Now be careful, our instinct is to boop them on the nose. Be really careful that it's her that's coming to your hand, not you that's bumping her nose. Okay? And I want you to say your marker word really clearly when they do the behavior. Yes. While that nose is touching that hand. That's what tells them that they've made the right choice. That's the communication part. The food is just an added extra. It's a benefit. Sit. Down. Down. Stay there. Yes. I want your timing to be really good for your marker word. You don't need to rush to get the treat. Now, if you want your puppy to learn to jump up, have your marker hand high. Yeah? If you want your puppy to learn to keep their feet on the floor, have your marker hand, yes, nose height. Think about what you're actually encouraging. If you want them up here, yes, target up there. If you don't want them to learn to jump up, yes, target down here. Think about what you're encouraging them to do and whether or not it's going to get them into trouble in the future. Good boy. Can you go lay down? Go and lay down. Good. Stay there. Dodo. Yes. She says, yes. Okay, so don't rush to your food. Make sure your marker is definitely in time with the action, yes. And then go get the food. You don't need to rush to it. If your dog's not sure what you're trying to explain, then they'll start being silly, they'll start jumping up, they'll start throwing behaviours at you. That just means we need to be clearer with our body language. That means less verbal and more clear physical. Yes. And slow down. The more frantic we get trying to instruct them, the more frantic they're going to get, because they're not going to understand it anymore just because we say it more often. Have you ever been in France and asked for directions? If you don't talk French, shouting louder at them that you want to know where the toilet is doesn't make them understand you any better. So if you want a fancy target stick, what's the benefit of a target stick? Any guesses? Yes. Absolutely. It can work at a distance, which means that once they understand it's about the orange bit, yes, then we can start directing them further distance. Go and lay down. And I've had people with disabilities, and what we've taught them is to target their nose to the walking frame or the wheelchair or to their walking stick, so that they're not getting in the way of those appliances. They're learning to target part of that so they're in the right position. Yeah? But you can use it, Dodo. Such a scavenger. He'd have been all right on the streets of Spain if I'd have left him there. Okay, so here's my target. Works exactly the same as having a treat in your hand to help your dog to learn to move with you. Yes. Does that make sense? And I'm still going to give him that reward. But the behavior then can start to be without the food being obvious. Yes. Very clear communication. Yeah? All right? If your dog is targeting, don't worry if they're not yet, because it takes some of them a little time. If they're targeting confidently, start moving them a little bit. Yes. Put the reward in the hand that was the target and put it where you marked. Yeah? Where you gave that marker word. It's all a bit pressurized over there, so we're going to practice something else to help them relax a little bit in a minute. That's luring. That's when you've got food in your hand. And targeting is when you're asking them to target something else, your hand or an object. They've always got good reason to turn us down when we're asking them to do something. It's either because they don't understand, or like this little one, desperate for a wee, or it might be I'm desperate for a drink, or it might be something's painful, like Desi started shouting at me when I asked him to go round and round the wrong way because that hurts his hip. Yeah? So it's never a bad dog, it's a dog who's trying to communicate. Okay, so we're going to do a thing now called settle. And settle is something that saved mine and Dez's relationship. And probably Dodo's as well. So the ability to relax and calm down and not expect interaction is something that needs to be practiced. It doesn't come naturally. So put your bed where it's easy for you to reward them. So get it right up near your chairs. And what we're going to do, to begin with, your puppy doesn't know anything about anything. So you bring that nose with a lure to the bed, but you put the treat on the bed. Not into the dog's nose, but on the bed. Okay, and you do that over and over and over. They keep getting off the bed. You're just going to lure that nose back to the bed and put the treat on the bed. It's the only place the treats are going to be. Doesn't matter if they get off, don't need telling off. Once they are hanging out near the bed, then those treats are going to keep coming. But I want you to try and aim them. What are you doing? You're just going to stand there, okay? Those treats are going to be in the way of the camera. Can you lay down? Twiggy, can you lay down? Good girl. There's a ball in the way, isn't there? I know, I can see. Okay, put the treats between their feet on the bed. So even if they're standing up, just put that treat between their feet. Okay, and what we're not doing when we're doing settle training is we're not talking to them. We're not saying go do this, go do that, go do the other. It's all body language. If you are near the bed, food will be on the bed. That's all. We don't talk to them. We just keep delivering those treats between their feet. We're going to take ourselves out of the equation. So we need to be able to sit back and relax and look at what your dog is doing through your peripheral vision. We're not looking at them, we're not talking to them. We want them to be able to switch off to us so that they can relax, so that they can calm down. Now, why did I say this saved Des and ours relationship? Des is a working breed and he knows it. It's all he wants to do is do. He doesn't want to not do. It doesn't make sense to him at all to be still. So I focused a lot of energy when he was little on rewarding him for being still, for doing nothing. And Now he thinks it's just great. We go places, we go to pubs, we go to cafes. I sit down, I start a conversation with somebody, and it's like this. He's waiting on the next treat. What I'm now looking for at this level, once you've finally got your dog to be still in the bed and not keep getting out of the bed and not keep nagging at you, I'm looking for any sign in the dog that they are feeling calmer. So Des has put his head down. I'm going to pay for that. This is TV training. Dodo's looked away. I'm going to pay for that. Twiggy's busy working. Yeah, that was my name. Did you see her ears come up? So don't get into a conversation with them with your eyes. The only thing that's happening is that hand will come down to put the treat on the bed. Don't let them take it from your hand. Really important that it's where the treat is going is on the bed. And if you can deliver without appearing to have delivered, yeah, bit hard when they're all staring at you. But if the treat can be delivered by surprise, when they're not really even looking at you, that's even better. Okay? So the other thing I had to do with Des, because he was absolutely determined that he wanted to force me to work, was I had to initially use a lead to stop him from doing zoomies around the room. So I used to put his bed next to my sofa, put him on the lead, reward him every time he was on the bed, reward every time he looked more relaxed. Eventually, we didn't need the lead. But to begin with, I had to stop him from getting movement going again. Yeah? You don't need to get angry with them for being a dog. You've seen how I respond when Dodo gets Lula. He's always going to be that kind of personality. He's always going to make mistakes. Do you know your dog's only ever going to reach a maximum equivalent of the age of a 5-year-old child? That's it. And that's one of the things we love about them, that they are constant children. But it's also one of the things that we end up hating about them, because we think that they've got something and they know it and they shouldn't be doing it anymore. And actually, they never do. They never learn. They haven't got this big prefrontal cortex that we've got that allows us to make decisions not to do the thing that we shouldn't do. So not to eat the cake, not to, oh, what did I do last night? Roast pork. You know the fat? Yeah, I love the fat. Doctors told me I've got high cholesterol, and I'm going, I don't care. Bad, innit? And I'm a human. I've got a big prefrontal cortex. I should know better. Yeah? Anyone who tells you your dog should know better? Nope. It's a dog. But they can learn to do things using the CPR. Yeah, they can learn to give you behaviors that make your life easier. But you can also accidentally be doing exactly the opposite. So why is Dodo so whingy? I absolutely own this. Why is he so whingy? Well, first off, he came that way because when he was a puppy, the elderly lady who rehomed him in Spain and raised him as a puppy, if he cried, she would give him attention. If he jumped up, because she couldn't bend down to give attention, she gave him attention. So he got a lot of attention from crying and jumping up when he was tiny, before I even met him. And then when I met him, I continued because I brought him straight into class with me, and he needed to learn to be quiet and calm so I could teach. But I couldn't let him keep screaming, because if you leave him to it, he gets so loud. And eventually you give attention to it. You can't help yourself. So instead, what I should have done is do what I did with Desmond when he came in as a puppy, and keep the rewards coming so that he doesn't then go to practice the behavior that I hate. Yeah? Get in front of the behaviour. Look at them all now. We're nearly there. We've got 3 in the bed. I've seen you. You have been there. I have seen that you have done it. Okay, and that's going to be your first class over. Is there any questions that's come from that, or that you haven't been exposed to this kind of training before, or, you know, or you feel nagged at? And it doesn't even have to do anything that I teach. As long as you go away having learned the philosophy and the methods, you then apply it to how you want to live with your dog. There's not a, your dog must do such and such, or your dog must do such and such. Your dog is your dog. If you want your dog to learn to bite you, that's fine. You know, it's your dog. You want your dog to learn to rip up your sofa, that's fine. That's your dog. Your dog is the one you are going to live with, but you need to own it. You need to own what you've taught. I own the fact that he's whingy because I didn't set up his early training in the way that I should have done. I own everything about her because she's perfect. Barking. He barks when he gets frustrated and upset. I managed to teach him not to when he was a puppy, and then I decided to teach him to be a search and rescue dog, and he had to learn to bark when he found his person. So I taught him to bark. Yeah? And then you've got a dog who naturally barks when he's frustrated, getting rewarded for barking in that one context, suddenly starts thinking that barking's the thing to do. So I had to start all over again and teach him, but not here. Only there, not here. Yeah? So I'll own that. I taught Des to bark. Have you got anything you think that now you could look and hold your hand up and say, I've taught my dog to do that you don't like? Not yet. No? Okay, you can go and say hello to everybody. Yeah? Go on. Go do dog stuff. Not herding, thank you. Go pick your ball up. Ball. It's there. Des, it's there.